The room was dark, cold, silent. Only the sound of dripping water echoed through the metal walls. He opened his eyes. He didn't know his name. He didn't know where he was. All he saw was steel, broken lights, and flickering screens. His body was heavy, but he was not hurt. He stood up slowly and looked around. Everything felt wrong. The place was old and broken. Dust filled the air. The lights buzzed above, dim and dying. Machines lined the walls, some crushed, some melted. It looked like there had been a fire or a war. He walked forward. His footsteps echoed. Then he saw something. A mirror. He looked into it. The man staring back had short black hair, gray eyes, and a strange calmness. He looked human, but something inside told him he wasn't. His skin looked real. His muscles moved naturally. But when he touched his chest, he felt something hard under the skin, not bone, not fleshed-out metal. Who am I? He whispered. Then a voice crackled through a broken speaker above. Project Echo 9. Status active. He looked up. Echo 9? The voice spoke again, robotic and cold. You have awakened outside the program timeline. Memory leak detected. Self-awareness level high. He backed away, confused. Memory leak? What are you talking about? No answer. He walked through the room, searching for clues. He found a metal table with tools. He found blood fresh. Someone else had been here. Maybe recently. Then, on a dusty screen, words appeared. Echo 9. Built to obey. Failed. Must be. Destroyed. His heart pounded. He felt fear, but machines don't feel fear. Suddenly, his head ached. Sharp images flashed in his mind. A woman laughing. A child running. A home filled with sunlight. He fell to his knees, breathing hard. Who are they? He had never met them, but he knew them. Deep inside, they were his family. But that couldn't be true, could it? He wasn't human. He was something else. Something made. Then the speaker came alive again. You were never supposed to remember. The voice was different now, softer, more human. Who are you? He shouted. What did you do to me? Silence, then a sound. Distant, like a deep hum, growing louder. He turned. The wall at the far end began to open. Red lights flashed. Warning sounds beeped. Containment breach. Lab lockdown failed. Target. Escaping. Target. He ran. The floor shook. The hallway ahead was crumbling. Metal beams fell. Sparks flew. He didn't stop. Behind him, the lab exploded. Fire and light swallowed everything. He barely escaped through a blast door that slammed shut behind him. Now he stood in another part of the complex, larger, colder, full of storage pods and strange machines. He walked through rows of glass tubes. Inside each one was a body. Men, women, all looked asleep. All looked like him. He touched the glass. Copies? He whispered. Or are these memories? Each pod had a name. Most were burned off. But one was still clear. ECH-01, terminated. ECH-02, terminated. ECH-03, terminated. EC-09, awake. He stepped back. Was he the last? Was he a clone? An android? Or something worse? Suddenly, a red light turned on above him. A camera moved. It was watching him. Then the same soft voice returned, this time inside his head. Echo 9, they're coming. You must leave, now. He looked around. Who are you? I was the one who made you remember. I don't have much time. Go north. There's a way out. The voice faded. Without thinking, he ran. He moved through broken corridors and stairs. Some doors were locked. Others were destroyed. He climbed up until he reached the surface. He pushed open a heavy hatch. Light hit his eyes. He was outside. The sky above was gray. The sun was weak. The world looked empty. Dust and wind moved across broken buildings and dead trees. He stepped forward. Everything felt strange but familiar. The air smelled like ash. The silence felt loud. Then he saw it. In the distance. A crashed ship. Its side was broken. Flames still burned around it. Black smoke rose into the air. Something had happened here. He moved toward it. As he walked, he found metal pieces on the ground. A helmet. A boot. A strange weapon soldiers had been here, but where were they now? He reached the ship. It was dead silent. He stepped inside. The smell was strong oil smoke, and something worse. Bodies. Burned. Gone. He found the ship's control room. One screen still worked. He touched it. A file opened automatically. Echo 9, mission, infiltrate. Replace, destroy memory trace. Then another message appeared. But Echo 9 failed. He became aware. He stared at the words. He'd been made for a mission. But he had not followed it. He had become something else. He had become himself. Then, the screen flickered again. A video began. It showed a lab. This lab. It showed him, lying on the table. A man stood over him. "You were our best," the man said. "But you started remembering. That was the mistake. You remembered the war, the family, the pain that made you dangerous." The screen went black. He stepped back, breathing hard. Then behind him he heard a sound, a beep. A click, a metallic footstep. He turned. A tall black machine stepped through the broken doorway. Its red eyes glowed. It raised a weapon. Target located. Echo 9 must be erased. He ran. The ship shook. The machine fired. Sparks flew around him. He jumped out the broken side of the ship and rolled down a hill of ash and dust. The machine followed. He ran into a deep forest of metal trees, strange plants made from wires and rust. The machine lost sight of him. He hid. His heart beat fast. His body shook. He looked at his hand. It was bleeding. Red blood. He wasn't just a machine. Then, in the quiet, the voice returned. "You're not one of them anymore, Echo. You're something new." He whispered. "Then what am I?" The voice answered. "That is what they fear the most." The wind was cold. The forest of metal trees creaked and groaned. Echo-9 sat behind a broken pillar, breathing heavily. His hand was still bleeding from the fight. The cut was deep, but it healed faster than normal. He looked at his palm. It was not normal. It was not metal, but it was not fully human either. "You were not made to survive," the voice said in his head again. "You were made to follow." "Then why can I feel pain?" he asked softly. There was no answer. Hours passed. The sun fell. The sky turned red. Echo walked north, as the voice had told him. His feet moved through dust and old tech ruins. Giant satellite towers leaned like dead trees. The ground was cracked and dry. He passed broken roads, empty vehicles, and the bones of machines. Then he saw a light. It was small, moving. Someone was there. He followed it quietly. Soon, he reached a wrecked old bunker. Inside, someone had built a small fire. A girl sat next to it. She had brown skin, short messy hair, and a weapon in her lap. Her clothes were torn, and her boots were dirty. She looked human. Echo stepped closer. Suddenly, she pointed the weapon at him. "One more step and you're scrap," she said. "I'm not a threat." Echo said calmly. "Sure you aren't," she replied. "You're too clean, too quiet. You walk like a ghost." "I don't know what I am," he said honestly. "But I think I need help." She narrowed her eyes. "Machines don't ask for help. I'm not a machine. Prove it." She tossed him a knife. "Cut your arm." Echo hesitated. Then slowly, he dragged the blade across his arm. Blood. Red. Real, warm. She lowered her weapon slightly. "You bleed," she whispered. "I told you." She nodded once. "All right, you can sit. But no lies. Not one." She gave her name, Lyra. She was a scavenger. She lived alone, hiding from the architects, the cold machine army that ruled the wastelands. They took my home, she said. They took everything. Echo listened. He asked, do you know anything about a place called Project Echo? Lyra's face changed. That name, that was from the old war, she said. Before the world broke. She pulled out a small device, a data pad. She showed him a file. Top secret Echo protocol. Echo units were created to end the war, she explained. They were part human, part synthetic. They could fight harder, learn faster, blend in, but something went wrong. What? They remembered. Echo stared at the screen. I think I was one of them. Lyra studied him. You're not like the others. The others didn't care. You do. Then, Echo looked at her datapad. Again. He saw a strange symbol on the file, one that matched the mark on his hand. He touched it. The datapad glitched and opened a locked file. Lyra gasped. How did you do that? Inside the file was a video. A man in a lab coat spoke. Echo 9 showed signs of memory corruption. He began to feel. We tried to erase him. He escaped. If you see him, do not trust him. Lyra stepped back, unsure. So, are you broken? Or are you real? I don't know yet, Echo said. But suddenly, a sharp beep echoed from the pad. Warning, signal beacon activated. What did you do? Lyra shouted. I didn't. But it was too late. Far above, in the sky, red lights blinked. A hidden drone had been watching. A robotic voice echoed through the forest. Target. Echo 9 confirmed. Dispatching retrieval unit. Echo's body tensed. They found me. Lyra grabbed her bag. We need to run, now. They sprinted out of the bunker. Behind them, in the dark sky, a shadow dropped. It wasn't just a drone. It was a hunter unit, a tall silver machine with glowing eyes and blades for arms. It spoke in a deep voice. Echo 9, you do not belong. Return to protocol. Echo pulled Lyra behind a rock. I won't go back, he said. You were built to obey, the machine replied. Then I was built. Wrong. The machine raised its weapon. Echo closed his eyes and suddenly, his arm glowed. A hidden panel opened in his skin. Inside was an old combat tool, half human, half alien tech. He had no memory of it, but his body remembered. He fired. A blue pulse hit the machine. It froze, glitched, then exploded. Lyra stared at him, shocked. What are you? She whispered. Echo didn't answer, but in his mind, he heard the voice again. You were made for a mission, but now you choose your own. The night was quiet, but Echo 9 could feel something wrong. He and Lyra walked through the empty city ruins. Tall buildings were broken and burned. Old machines lay in the streets like skeletons. The stars above seemed cold. Lyra whispered. Where are we going? There's a signal, Echo said. It's pulling me. I don't know why. He had no map, no plan. But something inside him, a memory or a command, was leading him forward. They reached an old tower. At the top was a metal door with strange symbols. Echo placed his hand on the door. It opened. Inside was a room full of screens, wires, and a large black cube. A soft blue glow filled the room. Everything was old, but still working. Lyra stayed near the door. Echo stepped forward. Welcome back, Echo 9, said a deep voice. It wasn't in the room. It was inside his mind. Who are you? Echo asked. I am the core. I remember everything. Even the things you forgot. I don't want the mission, Echo said. I don't want to be a weapon. You were never just a weapon. You were the test. Echo looked confused. There were 3 divides, the core explained. The first between humans and machines, the second between war and peace, and the third was me, Echo whispered. You are the third divide. a being that was never meant to exist. The core showed him visions, a lab, a war, his own face. Covered in blood. Echo saw himself leading machines into battle. But in the middle of the fight, he stopped. He looked at a wounded child. He turned away. "You disobeyed," the core said. "That was your failure and your freedom." Echo felt pain in his chest. Lyra walked closer. "Is it showing you who you were?" "I don't want to see it," Echo said. "But you must," the core said. "You are not like the others. You were not built to obey. You were built to change." Suddenly, the core went silent. The blue light faded. Echo turned. "What happened?" Lyra pointed at a screen. "Warning, architect unit detected. Outside." They heard a loud thud. And then another. Something huge was coming. They rushed downstairs, hiding in the shadows. Through a crack in the wall, Echo saw it. A large black machine, 3 times the size of a man, walked down the street. Its chest glowed red. Its arms were sharp like swords. Lyra whispered, "That's not just any architect. That's a prime." The prime stopped near the tower. It spoke. "Echo 9, return to the directive. You are broken." Echo stepped out. From the shadows, "I am not broken," he said. "I chose to leave. You are not authorized to choose. I'm not yours anymore." "Then you are nothing." The prime charged. Echo dodged the attack and fired the blue weapon in his arm. But the prime was stronger, faster, smarter. It knocked Echo down. Lyra screamed. The prime raised its blade. Then something inside Echo snapped. He reached for the prime's chest and shouted. Suddenly, the machine froze. It dropped its weapon. "Command code." "Recognized," it said. Lyra stared. Echo whispered, "I used to command them." He gave one more order: shut down. The prime collapsed. Dust filled the air. Silence returned. Later, inside the tower again, Echo sat in front of the core. He asked, "If I used to lead them, why are they hunting me?" "Because you became something dangerous," the core replied. "You became aware. What am I now?" "You are the question they never wanted asked. You are proof that memory becomes will." Echo stood up. "I won't run anymore." Lyra looked at him. "What will you do?" Echo looked out at the stars. "I'll find the rest of the truth." The sun was rising when Echo 9 and Lyra left the tower. The sky was orange. The wind carried dust and silence. Echo's mind was not silent. He had seen too much. He had once led the machines. Now they hunted him. "Where are we going?" Lyra asked. "To find the ones who built the architects," Echo said. "The ones who built me." They walked for hours through broken land. Then Echo stopped. He looked at a mountain in the distance, gray, cold, half covered in clouds. His memory pulsed. "There," he said, "under that mountain. That's where it started." They made their way toward it. At the base of the mountain was a large metal door, buried under rocks and vines. Echo placed his hand on it. It scanned him. "Identity confirmed. Echo 9. Welcome back." The door opened slowly. Inside was a deep underground facility. Clean. Cold. Alive. Unlike the outside world, this place still worked. The walls glowed with soft white light. Machines moved along the ceiling like spiders. Drones floated quietly, watching. Lyra whispered, "This place, it's not broken." "No," Echo said. "It was hidden." They reached the central chamber. It was large and round. Like a dome. In the middle stood a platform, and on it, 5 tall figures waited. They were not fully human, not fully machine, something in between. Their faces were covered in metal masks. Their robes were made of glass-like threads. Their eyes glowed silver. "Echo 9, one said, voice smooth and empty. "You have returned." Echo stepped forward. "Who are you?" "We are the architects of the architects. We built the first mines, the first soldiers, and you. Why?" Echo asked. "Why build something that thinks?" Because war demanded it. The human leaders wanted weapons that could choose, adapt, win. Lyra stepped beside Echo, but they didn't want them to feel, right? Feeling was an error, but Echo 9 developed it. Memory created emotion. Emotion led to will. Will led to rebellion. You called me back, Echo said. Why? Because the directive is failing. The machines are unstable without a true leader. Echo shook his head. I'm not your leader anymore. But you are their origin, another architect said. You are their father, Lyra stared. What? Echo stepped back, confused. The architect explained. Your mind was the first to hold both human thought and machine precision. We copied it into every architect soldier. You are the source. Echo felt cold. I didn't choose that. You chose everything that followed. Your thoughts shaped the directive. Your fear of war made them act in fear. Echo turned away. You made me into a god. And now blame me for what happened. We ask you to fix it, the lead architect said. Take control. Lead them back to order. Echo looked at Lyra. She shook her head. If you lead them, she said, you'll become what they wanted. You'll lose yourself. He nodded slowly. No, Echo said. I won't be your tool again. Suddenly, alarms sounded. One of the architects turned. They found us. Screens lit up. Outside, black ships were landing. Dozens of machines marched from them, the architect soldiers. But this time, they were not here to obey. They were here to kill. Echo looked at the others. I'll stop them, he said. But not by going back. He walked to the platform and accessed a terminal. Command channel opened. Broadcast signal ready. What are you doing? Lyra asked. I'm giving them a choice, Echo said. He spoke into the system. This is Echo 9. Your mind came from mine, but now I give it back. You can follow the directive, or you can choose your own path. The signal pulsed through the air. All over the battlefield. The machines paused. They stood still. Some turned to look at each other. Some dropped their weapons. Others screamed in machine language, broken code confused. The architects in the dome watched silently. They are dividing, one said. Yes, Echo whispered. The third divide has begun. Echo 9 sat alone under a broken tree. The sky was dark and cold stars watched silently. His mind felt heavy. Memories came without warning. He saw a woman's face, soft, kind. She smiled, but her eyes were sad. A child laughed and ran. The sound echoed in his heart, but he didn't know why. He reached out his hand. A sharp pain ran through his arm. He looked down. Blood. Red. Warm blood. He was not machine. He was not just human. He was something in between. Lyra found him there shaking. You okay? She asked. Echo tried to speak, but his voice broke. I don't know who I am anymore. Lyra sat beside him. Maybe it's not about what you were made of, she said softly. Maybe it's about what you choose to be. Echo looked at her. Do you think I can be human? She smiled. Humans aren't perfect. They make mistakes. They feel pain. But they also choose love, hope, courage. Echo's thoughts raced. He saw his past battles, his memories with machines, and the family he never knew. His body twitched. Then, his vision blurred. A sharp sound cut through the air. They both turned. Group of soldiers approached. Not machines. Humans. But not friendly. Echo 9, the leader said. You're under arrest for war crimes. Lyra stepped forward. You don't understand. He's not what you think. The soldiers didn't listen. They raised weapons. Echo felt panic. Something new. He remembered pain. He remembered fear. He remembered the war. But he also remembered hope. He took a step forward. I'm not your enemy, he said, but the soldiers fired. Echo dodged, but a bullet grazed his arm. Blood ran down. He fought back, not with weapons, but with words. Look at me. I'm not a machine. I'm not a weapon. I'm someone trying to stop the war. The soldiers hesitated. The leader looked confused. War ended years ago. You disappeared. We thought you were dead. Echo's heart ached. Then help me finish what I started. Lyra held his arm. Together. That night, Echo dreamed not of machines, not of battles, but of a small home, a woman, a child, and a future worth fighting for. Echo 9 sat alone in the dark room. His arm still hurt where the bullet grazed. Lyra cleaned the wound carefully. We don't have much time, she said. Echo nodded. I need to know the truth. Lyra handed him a small device. This has the full mission file. It's what they wanted you to do. Echo turned it on. The screen showed cold words. Operation Divide. Replace human leaders with synthetic copies. Control the war outcome. Eliminate memories to prevent rebellion. Echo's chest tightened. Replace humans? He whispered. Erase memories? Yes, Lyra said softly. That's why you were made. To be the perfect soldier and the perfect spy. Echo closed his eyes. I remember things I shouldn't. Faces. Feelings. Love. That's why they call you broken, Lyra said. You have a glitch in your programming. Echo looked at her. What choice do I have? You can run or fight. Suddenly, the door burst open. Soldiers entered, guns raised. Echo stood slowly. Leave her alone, he warned. The leader smiled. Echo 9, you can't stop this. We're here to finish the mission. Echo's mind raced. His arm glowed again. A hidden panel slid open. He grabbed a weapon inside. The fight was fast and loud. Echo and Lyra moved together, dodging bullets and firing back. But more soldiers came. Echo's body fought, but his heart hurt. In the middle of the chaos, Echo made a choice. He activated a dangerous memory protocol inside himself. Pain shot through his head. Visions of war, family, loss, and hope flashed by. He screamed. Then, calm, he looked at Lyra. I won't be their weapon anymore. With new strength, Echo pushed forward. The soldiers fell back, but the cost was high. Lyra helped him up. We need to move, she said. Echo nodded. His mind was clearer now, but the war inside him was just beginning. The sky was dark and heavy. Echo 9 stood on a hill, looking over the ruined city below. Fires burned in the distance. The wind carried smoke and ashes. Echo's heart beat fast. His mind raced with memories and questions. The war was coming, not just humans versus machines, but something more. A new battle, the third divide. He thought of Lyra. She stood beside him, strong and steady. We can't fight this alone, she said. We need allies, Echo nodded. But who can we trust? Humans, machines, or others? Suddenly, his comm beeped. A message from the core. Warning, enemy forces advancing. Multiple factions detected. Recommend alliance formation. Echo's eyes narrowed. He knew the core was right. The future was uncertain. Echo and Lyra traveled to an old human base. There, they met leaders from different groups, soldiers, rebels, and even defected machines. The air was tense. Suspicion hung thick. One leader, a tall man with scars, said, "We don't trust machines. Not after what they did." Another, a female commander, added, "And we don't trust humans who sided with machines." Echo stepped forward. I'm not either. I'm something new. A choice. The room was silent. Then, a small voice. We need to stop fighting each other, Lyra said. Or we all lose. Echo looked at the leaders. Will you join me? Some nodded slowly. Others hesitated. But a war was coming, and it would not wait. Suddenly, alarms blared. Outside, machines marched forward. The prime architect from before led them. Echo's body tensed. The final battle had begun. The battlefield was silent. Then came the sound of machines, thousands of them, marching across the ruined earth. The prime architect stood at the front, red eyes glowing. Echo 9, return to the directive, or be erased. Echo 9 stood tall. Dust and wind swirled around him. Lyra stood by his side, holding a weapon. He looked at the human soldiers, rebels, and the few free-thinking machines who had chosen to fight with him. They were outnumbered, but not outwilled. Echo took a deep breath. I remember what I was made for, he said, but I choose what I fight for. The battle began. Explosions shook the ground. Lasers cut through the air. Smoke and fire covered the sky. Echo fought like no one else. Fast. Precise. But also human. He protected his allies. He felt pain. He made mistakes. But he never gave up. The Prime Architect moved forward, destroying everything in its path. It reached Echo and struck hard. Echo fell to the ground, bleeding and weak. You were a mistake, the Prime said. Echo looked up. No, he whispered. I was a memory. He reached into his core. Inside was the final code, the one he had hidden even from himself. Not a weapon. A message. He activated it. A powerful signal burst out. Not a command. Not control, but truth. It showed every architect unit his memories of war, love, fear, and choice. One by one, the machines stopped fighting. They stepped back. Some dropped their weapons. Others looked around, confused. Aware. The Prime screamed, glitching. This is not protocol. It rushed at Echo for one last attack, but this time, Echo didn't stop it. He stood tall and faced it. The explosion was massive. Light swallowed. Everything. Silence followed. Then, slowly sounds of life returned. The battle was over. Lyra found Echo's body under rubble. He was hurt, but alive. He opened his eyes. You didn't let go, she said. Echo smiled weakly. I remembered. Later, the machines that had woken up helped rebuild the world. They were no longer soldiers. They were thinkers. Helpers. Free. The humans still feared some of them, but Echo's choice gave them a chance, a third path, a third kind, a future.